All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome into the Chiefs Zone Podcast. My name is Farzin Vasugian. Happy Monday. Happy December. It is the first snow day in Kansas City. So if you guys were out and about, hopefully you were all safe. Hopefully you all stayed warm. Yeah, we are 1 month away from the end of 2025. And a lot of people are wondering if the Chiefs will play more than one game in 2026. Or at least in the month of January 2026. There are some serious concerns on that front there. Andy Reid spoke to the media today. Didn't have a whole lot to say, but did address the sense of urgency and where the Chiefs are right now. And we'll talk about that because had a couple of interesting things to say that I think is worth bringing up. ESPN has some odds that they shared today regarding where the Chiefs will be with a win and a loss on Sunday Night Football. And I think there's one key to put out there as to what the Chiefs can do moving forward. So we'll get into all of that and more here on this episode of the Chiefs Zone Podcast. Appreciate all of you watching live on Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube. Greatly appreciate all of you guys, as a lot of you guys are from the Kansas City area, probably staying warm on this Monday night. Apologies for starting late. I was going to do this sooner, but because of the weather, I had to leave my house a little sooner. Listen, with the roads and all that, you don't ever want to take chances. You always got to give yourself ample time. So that's why we're doing this podcast later than usual. Yeah, look at Robert over here bragging about the 86-degree weather in Australia. Rub it in some more, Robert. Come on. Should you be like enjoying the nice sun and down under? Oh man, we could use that weather right now. But appreciate everyone watching in and outside the United States. Greatly appreciate all of you guys tuning in on this Monday night or whatever time it is, wherever you are. Want to let you know this podcast is brought to you by SeatGeek. That is where I go to for all of my sports ticketing needs. Concerts, whatever it is you want to attend. So for those of you who are attending Sunday Night Football or want to attend Sunday Night Football, get your tickets on SeatGeek. And if you're a new SeatGeek customer, you can use my promo code Farzin and you'll save $20 off your first purchase from SeatGeek. Go to SeatGeek.com, pick your tickets, and if you're a new customer at checkout, don't forget to use my promo code Farzin. That'll save you $20 off your first order from SeatGeek. Just like Justin, he'll be at Sunday Night Football this week. Bob says, I love the snow. Bob, come on, man. You're crazy. I cannot do the cold. Seriously, like I'll step outside. I'm like, holy shit. So for those of you who are attending Sunday's game, and not just attending, you do the 3-4 hour tailgate before the game. Props to you guys. I cannot be doing any of that stuff. I can't do that at all. Yeah, Moade, we'll get into that because that was a very interesting comment from Andy Reid. Michael says shorter days and snow and ice is depressing as fuck. Summer is happy times and sunshine. Only weirdos like this shit. I'm with you, Michael. I'm with you 100%. But hey, it's the Midwest. We get all 4 seasons in one day sometimes, but enough about complaining about the weather. Let's complain about the on-field product right now. Listen, here's my frustration with the Kansas City Chiefs at this moment at 6-6. Because coming off the bye, they lost to the Buffalo Bills. And at the time, not a lot of people viewed that game from Kansas City's standpoint as an absolute must-win. Nobody did. Kansas City had a record of 5-3 going into that game. 5-3 is not great, but it's a pretty good situation to be in. Is it not? You'd be on pace to go 10-6. Obviously with one more game left to go in the season. So you'd like to think the Chiefs, especially with how they started 0-2, and then they won 5 games in the span of 6 weeks before that Buffalo loss. You're thinking the Chiefs were figuring things out. Julian Edelman said on Fox Sports that this is the scariest team in football. now I don't know if people are even viewing the Chiefs like that. I know in Andy Reid's press conference today, and there are a couple of takeaways from his comments today, Andy Reid mentioned, and I know he said this before, talked about how they're a player or two away from winning a lot of these close games. Absolutely, yeah. And I know this has been made a big deal about with the fact the Chiefs were, 12-0 last year in one-score games when you include the postseason. And this year, they're 1-6 in close games. And I will say, I think, a lot of these close games, the Chiefs were down by double digits in the fourth quarter, if I recall correctly. So, for example, in the Philadelphia game, they were down by 10 points, and they had to go deep down the field, getting that ball to Tyquan Thornton in the end zone to cut the deficit to 3. I know in the Chargers game, I know that was a while back, and it was kind of a weird score, 27-21, because the Chiefs missed the PAT, had to go for 2. What was the score in the fourth quarter? Going into the fourth quarter, the score was 20-12, and then it was 20-18. Chargers went up 27-18. Chiefs tried to get going, but couldn't get a touchdown, only a field goal. So, yeah, I mean, Kansas City's kind of found themselves in these weird spots. Just like last week, they were down by 10. They were moving the ball deep down the field with a sense of urgency. You could see that. Same thing in the Colts game, down 20-9 entering the fourth quarter, and they found a way to tie that up. I think in the Buffalo game, wasn't Buffalo up by 2 possessions? And the Chiefs, were trying to rally in the fourth quarter. The only touchdown in the fourth quarter came from Kansas City. So if you believe in those Charlie Weissisms, the Chiefs won the fourth quarter of the game against Buffalo. Unfortunately, that was not enough to win the game. So the Chiefs will rally when they're down by multiple possessions, but it's like, man, it's too little, too late at that point. The inconsistencies, and here's where I need your guys' help. We know the Chiefs have been inconsistent, but if you're non-Chiefs friends, if they asked you, why are the Chiefs inconsistent? What's your answer? Because I don't know if I can come up with a good answer for why the Chiefs have been inconsistent. I think some of it's been the offensive line play, the play calling. Listen, I brought this up over the weekend on our Red Friday Q&A live chat. The fact that they're not utilizing Kareem Hunt more than they should, and that goes with play calling. Tyquan Thornton just all of a sudden is barely even on the field for you. Not because he doesn't want to. The Chiefs are just not using him much. Jaden Hicks, his playing time's up and down. Noel Williams, who's been pretty damn good for you considering he was a 4th-round rookie. This guy led all college football defenders in picks last year. And his playing time suddenly just disappeared. In the last 3 games, he's only played 7 defensive snaps, and all 7 of them were against Dallas. So what exactly do you pinpoint this 6-6 record on? I mean, Alex Smith was mentioning this is the worst 3rd down defense since week 8. This is a Spags-led defense. They're 28th on the season. Justin says lack of discipline in the locker room. Bring Eric Bieniemy back. I almost read that as Eric Berry. Listen, I think Eric Berry coming back would even fire up this team, but you mean Eric Bieniemy. Susie says not enough practice with the ones. How do we know that? Because the media only gets to see a very small portion of practice, and it's usually when they're doing, stretches, warm-ups, that kind of thing. Bill says can't get off the field on 3rd down, no sacks. Yeah, I addressed the 3rd down part already. No. Do you guys know when was the last time the Chiefs got a sack? 11 quarters ago. The first quarter, the opening drive of the Broncos game, Shamari Connor got a sack on the first play of the game. And then on the last play of that opening drive, Chris Jones got a sack to force the Broncos to kick a field goal. Right in front of the end zone, in fact, in a goal line situation. Rob says can't get all 3 units on the same page for a full game. Brody says offensive missed throws. Yeah, Patrick's been missing a lot of those lately. And this has been from years past too. And we keep hearing, the deep pass game is coming back. It really hasn't. Christopher says Jalen Royals hasn't even been targeted this season. That's not helping. I don't know if Jalen Royals not being targeted. I mean, how high is that on the list of reasons why you're struggling right now? I will agree. I mean, we heard a lot of things about Jalen Royals. Jalen Royals was a pleasant surprise in training camp this year. And listen, you guys know me. I've said for many, many years, for you longtime listeners, I'm not big on making a big deal about OTAs and training camp. Listen, what happens in practice does not always translate on Sundays or whatever day you play. But dude, Jalen Royals was heavily used in training camp. And the fact that, this is not a guy that's even been targeted once. He's been on the field. And I remember, I think it was the Giants game where they were moving him around kind of like Tyreek Hill with those pre-snap motions. That's all he's really done for you. I remember when the Rashee Rice suspension was announced, Jordan Schultz, who was with Bleacher Report for a while and is now with Fox Sports, he tweeted right after the announcement of the suspension. He said, one player to look out for to fill in for Rashee Rice would be Jalen Royals. And I know Royals dealt with an injury early on with knee tendonitis, but he came back a couple of games after, and it's like, okay, let's see that guy do the things that he can do while Rashee Rice is gone. We never saw that. The underutilization of Tyquan Thornton is just so confusing. This is the most effective wide receiver. He's averaging almost 25 yards a catch. This is insanity. The sacks. What do the Chiefs have? The 4th or 5th fewest sacks this year? I mean, it's bad. There was a comment talking about George Karlaftis' contract. I completely lost that. There it is from Michael. We paid all this money to Karlaftis and Jones, and they haven't been producing. One thing I will say about George Karlaftis, and I'll look this up quickly just to be sure, I don't think the big part of his contract kicks in until next year or the year after. Let's see. He's got a cap hit of $6.5 million, and then next year is $15 million. Because of the 5th-year option. So the big part of his contract, the 4-year deal that he signed worth $88 million, that does not actually kick in until 2027. Now in 2027, he's making $15.2 million, almost $15.3. In 2026, he's making almost the same amount, $15.1 million. Then it goes to the 20s after that. So listen, Karlaftis is not making a lot of money this year, but for a guy who you extended and you have locked up through 2030, this is not looking like a good contract right now. It's really not. Karlaftis has got to play much better, and we've seen him do some great things. This is not a contract that's panning out right now. Chris Jones, listen, Andy Reid acknowledged this a week or two ago, him being double teamed a lot. Is that a real thing? Yes. Is he worth the contract that he has right now? Absolutely not. Do I want Chris Jones off the team? Hell no. I do not want to see this defense without Chris Jones, because what Chris Jones does, commanding attention on the middle of that defensive front against the interior offensive line, I mean, it's a big deal. Opposing offensive coordinators respect the hell out of Chris Jones. The fact that they double team him and offensive linemen are even holding him. But, the referees only throw friendly flags in favor of the Chiefs, according to those who watch football, Imagine that. But my thing here is, what can be done to help prevent Chris Jones from getting double teamed? Well, you're noticing the loss of Turk Wharton right now and how much that's impacting you. And listen, it wasn't for a lack of effort. The Chiefs went and got Jerry Tillery in the offseason. They brought back Derek Nottie thinking that was going to help. Then they brought back Mike Pennell. They drafted Omar Norman-Lott, who actually was getting off to a really good start for the Chiefs. But unfortunately, he dealt with multiple injuries this season, tore his ACL in that Raiders shutout game. And you kind of wonder how much that'll impact his offseason with OTAs and training camp. Omar Norman-Lott, he had the best pass rush win rate among defensive tackles in college football last year. So this is a really good football player you brought in. That was honestly, I was more excited for him than I was Josh Simmons, excuse me. And right now, you just kind of wonder with Josh Simmons, by the way, it seems like it doesn't seem like his season is over yet. But if they don't make the playoffs, he might be done for the year. And Omar Norman-Lott, he's done for the year. Ashton Gilotti's starting to get some playing time. I think he's shown a little bit of improvement each game. Noel Williams, who, got off to a great start and suddenly is just barely being used, which doesn't make any sense. This rookie class isn't off to the greatest start. Josh Simmons, when he's been available for, he's great. I had one of those BS holding calls, but those are going to happen. But it's kind of hard to give this rookie class an A for this year. Kendrick says we should win outright. Yeah, the Chiefs really don't. Demetrio says forgot Royals on the team. Yeah, I think a lot of people forgot Royals. Remember when he was drafted? The Kansas City Royals tweeted, and we're all out there saying, hey, he needs to throw a first pitch at a Royals game. And he was great in training camp. And now it's like, oh, he's still on the team. Kind of forgot about that. So I don't know, man. The personnel activity, the usage has really been interesting for the Chiefs this year. Rick says, stop questioning the Chiefs. The problem is the Chiefs owner not going to the NFL offices and a damn review of the Cowboy game. Yeah. Listen, I didn't have too much of an issue with the officiating in that game. The pick play on Xavier Worthy. Listen, I know the Commanders last night against the Broncos, when they scored the touchdown in overtime right before their 2-point attempt. A lot of people were talking about how the Commanders got away with that. Listen, I don't even know, a lot of officials are not consistent. Every official will call things differently with pick plays and interference, holding. It's just very inconsistent. But I'm not blaming. First of all, I'll never blame a loss on officiating. Never. Are officials bad? Yes. Every team, all 32 teams deal with it. It doesn't matter if you win a lot or lose a lot. Every team deals with bad officiating. I've said this many times. But that game was not on officiating. The Chiefs got off to a hot start, scored 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. They had 109 yards of total offense in the first quarter. And in the fourth quarter, same number of drives, more than half of that, less than half of that, I should say. 45 yards of total offense in the second quarter. The inconsistencies are just absurd, because the Chiefs get an interception on the opening drive of the game, and in 2 plays, Rashee Rice finds the end zone, and the Chiefs on fourth down a couple of times found the end zone. Did it in the second quarter with Travis Kelce. It's like, what is going on with this team where they look hot in the fourth quarter of the Colts game? They look hot in the first quarter of the Cowboys game. And then they just disappear after that. That's been the most frustrating part about this season, and a big reason why they're at 6-6. Yeah, I mean, listen, the Chiefs didn't play yesterday. Did you not see the awful officiating? I mean, in the Commanders game, you saw a lot of it. In the Colts-Texans game, there were all kinds of complaints about it. Pat McAfee was going off about it on his show. Especially that weird PAT that was good. I don't know about that one. Listen, it just feels like Gene Steratore and all these other rules experts, Dean Blandino, I'm sorry. Who's the rules expert on Sunday Night Football? the rules and Terry McCauley. I almost said Terry McLaurin, scary Terry. All these rules experts, it seems like they're having to constantly refute whatever officials end up going with. It's funny. There was one official, I can't remember what game it was, but he's about to announce a face mask penalty and he's saying the number. And in the middle of it, in his ear, New York gets in his ear. He's like, oh, never mind. Actually, no face mask. Correction. It's like, and by the way, there's a lot of inconsistencies as to when replay assist can step in. So again, I'm not blaming that game on the Chiefs' loss on that. That is, the Chiefs have no one to blame but themselves. That officiating happens all around. I mean, listen, the Chiefs dealt with a lot of terrible calls in the Colts game. They found a way to overcome that. You know, another thing, too, I know in the Colts-Texans game, both teams attempted a QB sneak with their tight end. There was another game I saw yesterday. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was in the Bills-Steelers game, or maybe it was the Raiders-Chargers game. I can't remember. But another team attempted a QB sneak with their tight end. So you're seeing teams do that kind of thing. Whereas the Chiefs, listen, if the Chiefs are so afraid because Patrick Mahomes had one freak accident on a QB sneak, fine. I don't agree with it, but it's not for me to agree or disagree. I'm not the head coach. Andy Reid is. But you can do it with your tight end. The Chiefs have done it with their tight ends before. They did it with Blake Bell before. I know they've attempted it with Noah Gray. So you can do the tush push with your tight ends. I've seen them do it before. They love doing direct snaps to Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce, and it's worked well. Those plays have worked really well. So let's see more of that, can we? Like, do the things that are working. Okay, maybe Kareem Hunt gets stuffed on a drive. Well, more times than not, Hunt will come through for you. But unfortunately, the Chiefs are just so inconsistent with that. They panic and we got to run some weird play and basically play like we're panicking down by 3 scores. I think that's the biggest frustration with the Chiefs and where they stand right now, where they have to essentially win out, or this season you can stick a fork in it. I mean, we're over here scoreboard watching on December the 1st. The margin for error coming off the bye week, getting ready for the Denver game, was already small. I mean, it was already teeny tiny, and now it's even smaller. Going into that Broncos game, you needed to win to keep the division close and also keep the wild card race close. You failed on both of them. And by the way, the Chiefs are not getting a whole lot of help when it comes to scoreboard watching. Yeah, the Colts lost to the Texans. And I know the Colts have a very difficult schedule. I'm still not over here because I know the Chiefs have the tiebreaker over the Colts because of the head-to-head game. The head-to-head win from week 12. But are you really banking on the Colts falling apart? Because listen, let's be real here. Let's be honest with ourselves. The Chiefs, not only do they have to win 5 in a row, maybe 4-1 if other teams collapse. But again, are you banking on teams falling apart? The one team that I can bet moving forward that'll start to fall apart, the Chargers, because they don't have an offensive line. Justin Herbert just got surgery on his hand. This is a Chargers team that I think was already declining anyway before the Herbert injury. They've got a very tough schedule too coming up. Now, the Colts, okay, I know they haven't played a lot of great teams. That's been the knock on the Colts this year. But I still think the Colts are a good football team. They're not going to lose out. I would be shocked if they lose out. I think they can go 3-2 or 2-3. That Going 3-2, that's good for Kansas City only if they went out. And by the way, beating Houston, that'll put you above them. But the Chiefs, listen, all three wildcard teams are 8-4 right now. Chiefs are 6-6. Pittsburgh is also 6-6. They're ahead of you right now because of conference record. Baltimore is 6-6, but they're division leaders right now. So because even though the Chiefs have the head-to-head win over the Ravens, because the Ravens are right now, they have the tiebreaker over the Steelers because of common games for that division tiebreaker. The Chiefs right now are one step lower in the AFC chart because of conference record compared to the Steelers. This is not a position we're used to in December. The only time we've ever had to scoreboard watch in the Mahomes era is trying to get the number one seed. That's it. I mean, that's not even like desperate scoreboard watching either. It's just trying to get a luxury to get that bye week. That's it. It's unfortunate the Chiefs have found themselves in this position, and I've said many times, and we'll dive into this more. They've got no one to blame but themselves on this one. It's not a referee issue. It's not any of that. This is a Chiefs team that has put themselves in bad positions, and they've been down by multiple possessions in fourth quarter of games. And when they start to rally and fight back to cut it to one score, it's too little too late. The Chiefs moving forward, they've got to play like they have nothing left to lose. Like, go out there and be yourselves. They've got to be better than what they put on the field. And hopefully that starts this Sunday night, because this upcoming game, obviously massive playoff implications, but also a game where I think the winner of this game goes to the playoffs eventually. I'd be shocked if both teams miss the playoffs. One of them is going to go. Whoever wins this game, I think, has themselves a nice road to getting a playoff ticket. We'll have to see how that goes. Your moment is finally here because DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is finally live in your state. You heard that correctly. Those of you in the Show Me State can now make every game more exciting with same-game parlays, money lines, props, and more. And you can do it all from your phone. The best part, it's safe, secure, and easy to use. And obviously, Missouri fans know about game day with the tailgate, the noise, and the passion. And now with DraftKings Sportsbook, you can bring that same energy to every snap, every touchdown, and every win. No waiting, no nonsense, just pure action powered by America's top-rated sportsbook app. And right now, new Missouri customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use my promo code ChiefZone. Once again, new Missouri customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly with code ChiefZone. The crown is yours in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and over. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
Justin says, I'm nervous with the Texans pass rush and our offensive line health. Yeah, with Josh Simmons, and we don't know the exact status yet. It doesn't sound like he's playing this week. The Chiefs are favored. I think it's 4.5, courtesy of our friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook. Yeah. Are the odds makers just messing with us? Like, come on. You know, the Kansas City Chiefs are inconsistent and they've got offensive line woes, and the Texans, a lot of people argue, have the best defense. I say it's Denver. I don't have an issue if you're picking Houston, but boy, I mean, really, you're favoring the Chiefs? And by the way, Christopher, your comment about the Chiefs being 5-1. Yeah, the Chiefs are 5-1 at home. I believe they're 4-0, and I'll double check just to make sure they're 5-0 at home. One interesting fact: the Chiefs are 4-0 at home when favored to win. I think that's one of those like, hey, that's kind of like a coincidence type of stat. you get some weird stats sometimes that's like, since 1955, this team has never beat this team in the NCAA tournament. It's like, okay, what happened, back then is not a coincidence. That's not, that's just a coincidence. That doesn't actually have any impact on today. And yes, the Chiefs are 5-1 at home, 1-5 on the road, which is just crazy. And they've got some easy road games coming up too, which is, you hope that you win those games. The only game the Chiefs have won on the road was their first win of the season against a Giants team that's changed their head coach and quarterback since then. Yeah, the Chiefs being favored is like, and look, I'll be honest with you guys, I'll take the Texans money line. I'm not look, if I'll tell you this already, and I said this last week, if I had to bet on Sunday night's game, I have to give you a prediction right now, and I don't know if this is going to be a very high scoring game. I'm picking the Texans. I want to be wrong so badly, and I hope I will be. I got to be honest with you guys. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I cannot sit here with full confidence right now and say the Chiefs are going to beat the Texans. Yes, I recognize last year the Chiefs had 2 bad offensive tackles. Joe Thuney had shifted to left tackle. He actually did not do bad in the regular season meeting against the Texans, but in the playoff meeting against the Texans, because the Chiefs played the Texans twice in the same number of months, the Chiefs, Thuney specifically, struggled in the playoff meeting against the Texans. And they've got Will Anderson Jr., Danielle Hunter, 2 really good edge rushers for you. And right now you kind of find yourself in a similar situation where I don't know who's going to be the left tackle. I assume Jalen Moore over Wanya Morris. It sounds like Jawan Taylor will play at right tackle. If not, I would imagine Wanya Morris is the guy that they move out there. It's not the preferred option. I know Esapole is going to be an option for you. It's almost a given that they'll elevate him fully to the 53-man roster if Simmons can't go for a few games. I mean, the only way Kansas City can combat those pass rushers is if they go run heavy. I think you have to go in that direction for this game. Will they? I don't know. They ran the ball with Kareem Hunt 30 times 8 days ago. Then they suddenly shied away. And listen, I'm not expecting Kareem Hunt to run 60 times in the span of 5 days. That's insanity. But Pacheco was back. You could, and listen, I'm not saying Kareem Hunt's a wimp. I think Kareem Hunt would have welcomed that, considering he hasn't been used much this year. But that's been one consistent thing that's been working for you on offense. So why not utilize that more? What ref do the Chiefs Texans have? We do not know yet. We will find out tomorrow. We should know by this time tomorrow. But as of right now, we do not know who the referee will be for that game. But man, yeah, if Wanye's out there, Mahomes is in trouble. Yeah. And listen, Wanye's a good energy guy. The guys in the locker room love him. And I remember being excited for him when they drafted him in the 3rd round a few years ago because of his size, but he just hasn't been working out for you. He really hasn't. Any thoughts on the Get Up show saying the Chiefs have played 21 extra games and just burnt out, claiming Hunt and Donovan want Chiefs to be the world team and sign up for all the odd days, games, international games? I saw Get Up a little bit this morning, and I do need to share something that they put out there today. So I do appreciate that reminder. I did not see that commentary. I don't know if that was today or on another day where they said that about the wacky schedule that the Chiefs have had 2 years in a row. Look, I know when players step in front of a microphone for these international press conferences, like in Germany a couple of years ago, this year in Brazil, Patrick's in the hall. I'm excited to play in front of the Brazilian crowd. Do you think he means that? No, he's full of shit when he says that. And he's saying that for public relation purposes. Do you think any Chiefs fan in their right mind is thrilled about this 20-hour flight before they play a physical game of football? Like, really? I don't listen. Clark Hunt used to be the chair of the international committee for the NFL. And obviously his father had big aspirations for the league expanding, but man, who gives a shit about this stuff? Like, seriously, the players couldn't give a rat's you know what. And the fact that, the Chiefs are pushing for this more, I don't know, man. It's not my thing. I keep the games here, man. Keep the games here. Don't take home games away from Arrowhead. Don't take home games away from SoFi or any of these other great stadiums that you're seeing a lot more stadiums go indoors now, and they're spending billions. But let's take a home game away. And then you have a team like Jacksonville. They'll spend a whole 2 weeks and play 2 games in London or wherever. Like, come on. Listen, I'm not saying that's why they're winning or losing. But as far as the 21 extra games, people have been saying for years. I remember in 2023, people were like, oh, this is going to catch up to the Chiefs now. Do you really think Chiefs receivers were dropping passes because they've been playing an extra season, essentially? No, I don't believe in that. A lot of people do. Not me, man. Let me look up something for you quickly. Because when did the Chiefs start playing all of these extra games? 2018. That's when they played in their first AFC championship game with this core group. So from that 2018 team, who's still around? None of the wide receivers. None of the offensive linemen. Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith were drafted in 2021. Travis Kelce was on that team. Patrick Mahomes was on that team. Kareem Hunt, I mean, he was on the 2018 team, but he was cut before they could get to the playoffs. On the defensive side, Chris Jones, Mike Pennell's been in and out of this team over the years, so it's not like he's played all the way through every time. Derek Nottie, Derek Nottie. I mean, he was briefly with the Jets and now he's back, so he's been around, I guess, for the whole term. And then Harrison Butker and James Winchester. So it's only been a couple of guys on offense, a couple on defense, and a couple on special teams. Like Rashee Rice has not been playing into February every single year. Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, Juju, they've only been doing it for a little bit. So I don't buy that notion that, okay, yeah, these guys have been. Now, guys like Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, they reached the AFC Championship game their first year, and then the Super Bowl era all the other years. Trent McDuffie, George Karlaftis, Jalen Watson, Brian Cook. Yeah, those guys have never not missed a Super Bowl before. But the Chiefs were already reaching that point, either that or the game before those guys got drafted. So I can't say I subscribe to that, because once it gets to May, June, those guys are on full offseason mode. They've got the leg compressions, all that, the Normatec leg compressors. I mean, they're getting their full rest. Do you think Josh Allen? I'll use Josh Allen as an example. Do you think Josh Allen in the middle of June, when players are on vacation and all, not practicing before training camp gets underway, do you think Josh Allen is thinking to himself, oh man, physically I feel way better than Mahomes does because I've played less games in January and February compared to no. I don't think that gets up to them, in my opinion. I really don't think so. That's just my thoughts. It was another day last week from Peter Schrager. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. Yeah, Winchester's been around for a long time. Travis Kelce is the longest. Travis Kelce's been here the same amount of years Andy Reid's been here. Winchester, I think, arrived 2 years after that. One thing I did want to show you guys on ESPN's Get Up this morning, they were talking about the Chiefs and basically the situation they're in. Take a look at this. So if the Chiefs beat the Texans on Sunday, there's still a lot of work to do. Winning out does not get you in, but their odds do go up to 56% with a win over the Texans. If you lose, you are down to 13%, not 30, 13. 1-3 for those of you on the audio version listening. Yeah. We are literally at that point with the Chiefs right now. It's hard to even put it in the words because you just did not expect that with this football team. The comment about the 21 games was on Get Up last week, and it was Peter Schrager's take on why the Chiefs are tired and burnt. Listen, I can't dismiss that entirely, but again, like right now on December 1st, do you think a player like Patrick Mahomes is aching and thinking, oh man, my body's so sore because I played into February the last 3 years? I don't know. I'm just asking the question. I don't know how Mahomes feels physically. I would love for someone in the media to ask that question on Wednesday when Mahomes does his press conference. I'd be curious to know. Because if a player will admit that, which I doubt they will, I'll be like, okay, perhaps I just didn't have a good understanding of that. So Andy Reid had a very interesting comment today in his press conference. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. So in today's press conference that he did via Zoom, Andy Reid said he has all the confidence in the world that the Chiefs will win their next 5 games and make the playoffs. Now, listen, what else is he going to say? But here's the quote he gave. We're going to try to tickle your tonsils on every play. Well, if the Chiefs have to figuratively start tickling opposing teams' tonsils, whatever the hell that means from a football perspective, sure, go for it. Let's get that going. Edward says run play action. Yeah, under center. That'd be really nice if the Chiefs did that, but we're barely seeing Mahomes under center, which is interesting. And now, I don't know if there's an injury to Mahomes' hand or something that he's not doing under center. I don't know what's going on with that. Like we're having to speculate on these weird things. And again, it's just the fact that the Chiefs are in this position is just embarrassing. Golf Freak says Matt Nagy needs to be a QB coach, not OC. Yeah, I agree. We went over that on the Right Friday Q&A live chat. What do I think about the defensive line? I mean, they're not getting a push. Whenever the Chiefs are going out there getting pressure or a sack, it a lot of times has to come from the blitz. That's where they get that. Especially when you're paying Karlaftis. I know the big part of his contract doesn't kick in until 2027, but when you just gave him that big deal and he's performing like this, it's not good. It's never a good look for you. Chris Jones, again, I know he's getting double teamed, but you're paying him a lot of money to beat these double teams. Karlaftis has 5 sacks. I'll be honest, I thought it might have been 2. The fact that it's 5 is a surprise to me. Chris Jones has 3 sacks. I mean, it's just hard right now looking at this Chiefs defensive line. It needs to be much better. The Chiefs have 22 sacks. It doesn't feel like 22 sacks. It feels way less. Is it really 22 sacks? That has to be an error. It just feels like it's way less than that, but that's what it says on ESPN. Yeah, tickle the tonsils. That's Dude, Andy Reid's had some banger comments in these prior. Remember on Thanksgiving? I played this on the Red Friday Q&A live chat. If you haven't, go watch Andy Reid's press conference from the Thanksgiving game after the loss to the Cowboys. Andy Reid was like, yeah, it's Thanksgiving and thanks to the fans. And, it's a great microcosm because it's we can all come together, all races and religions. And there are people out there killing each other and bad shit's happening all around the world. It's like, what is this press conference? where Andy Reid just wanted the world peace mode, which, listen, I don't disagree with anything he said, but it was just the timing of that was just weird. He goes from like saying, yeah, there are some things I could have done better as a coach. Oh, by the way, there's a lot of bad fucking shit that happens in this world and we need to love each other and shake hands. Like, what are we talking about here? And then now Andy Reid's talking about tickling opposing teams' tonsils. That is a real quote. This is really what Andy Reid said. This is not AI or Grok from Twitter. Like, this is a real Andy Reid quote from today. So maybe the Chiefs need to start tickling opposing teams' tonsils. I'm a Casey fan, says, yeah, right. After 12 weeks, he's going to start to tickle GTFO. Boy, you guys are having fun with this one here. Jerry says, do you feel we need a change of offensive play calling? Maybe tickling their tonsils to help change the play calling? I don't know. To answer your question, yes. And we addressed that earlier on. It certainly would help if you would run the ball when you are in short yardage situation. And listen, if it's third and short, go for it. Go for it. The Chiefs have the best fourth down offense in the league. In fact, I think the Chiefs have gone for it more than any other team on fourth down. Let me just double check on that to make sure. But yeah, I mean, start going for it more on fourth down. The Chiefs are already in desperation mode, so start going for it more on fourth down. Yeah, the Chiefs have an 80.8% rate converting on fourth down. They're 21 of 26. They are tied third with the Saints going for it on. Oh boy. You want to know the other teams who have gone for it on fourth down? Number 1, the Panthers. Number 2, the Giants. Tied for third, the Chiefs and the Saints. And then behind them, the Browns, also tied with the Lions, Jaguars, and Titans. That is not a lot of good teams there. Detroit, yeah, they're good. But the rest of the teams I just mentioned, Jacksonville, they're a division leader right now. That ain't a good group of teams right there. Now, the Chiefs have made 21 fourth down conversions. That is tied for the most. The Panthers also have 21 fourth down conversions, but they've also had more attempts. So a slightly less percentage converting on fourth downs. So look, the Chiefs have only missed on fourth down 5 times. I guess the odds are in your favor when you go for it on fourth down. Start going for it on fourth down, man. Harrison Butker, we love you. He's been playing much better lately, but stick to the sidelines, Harrison. We'll call you for the PATs, and we'll keep you on the sidelines more times than not on fourth down. You got to start getting touchdowns, man. The Chiefs were 1 of 6 in the red zone. Now, they were much better in the Cowboys game. I think they were 4 of 4. I mean, it can't be more than that because they only scored 4 touchdowns. But I think in the Dallas game, they were much better in the red zone, and they were 4 of 4. No, sorry, 3 of 3. One of them was the first touchdown the Chiefs scored was Rice beyond the red zone. Yeah, so 3 of 3. Now, a couple of those required a touchdown pass on fourth down, but better to get it than not. The problem is, man, Kansas City just can't get off the field on third down. They're the worst third down defense since week 8. And in this game against the Cowboys, offensively, 5 of 13. 3 of 3 on fourth down, by the way. So they've been consistently good on fourth down. So start utilizing that more. Yeah, this is one of those quotes where, you know all these weird Facebook pages that have these fake AI images and fake quotes that everyone's grandmother believes. I've had my parents text me. They're like, "Is this real? I saw this on Facebook." No, it's not real. It's funny. I saw one that said Clark Hunt submitted 50 gigabytes of evidence to the NFL about how bad officiating was. Really? You believe someone has 50 gigabytes? I mean, listen, I work with a lot of technology here, so I can tell you what 50 gigabytes of video is like. I'll tell you, it is tons and tons of hours. So I can just smell the bullshit right away, but some people can't. Yeah, that Andy Reid quote does sound like something that would come from one of those fake AI pages. Should we do a Bill Belichick with Andy? Okay, I'm seeing a lot of people bring this up. Let me just say something, because I know during the 0-2 start, people asked, is the game gotten away from Andy? Is it past Andy? Really? Like, we're going to ask that after reaching the Super Bowl 3 years in a row? And listen, I know the Chiefs during those 3 years, not every single one of them were perfect. 2022 was great. Couple losses, no big deal. You didn't have Tyreek Hill, so what? Patrick Mahomes still won league MVP and Super Bowl MVP. 2023 was the wacky one with the drops. They found a way to overcome that. That was Matt Nagy's first year as the offensive coordinator. Then the second year as the offensive coordinator, okay, you have to cut Matt Nagy slack again because the offensive tackles are just horrendous. You dealt with all kinds of injuries to the point where you brought back Kareem Hunt because you were desperate for help on your offense. Well, the offensive line, yeah, they're banged up now, but even before the injuries, your offensive line was at full strength. Your receivers, the wide receiver trio has been available for you. Like, what's Matt Nagy's excuse this year? I don't think Andy Reid has to go. Is he part of the issue? Absolutely. Listen, when you're the head coach and you have all the success the last 7 years and you're now 6-6, the head coach has to take a lot of the responsibility. But Matt Nagy, man, I just think there's so much evidence that it's like the offense is supposedly better this year statistically, but you're not getting the job done. I think, honestly, the Chiefs need a new special teams coordinator and a new offensive coordinator. By the way, do you guys want to hear something a little scary? You guys are not going to like this. Do you know who is having a good season as a return specialist? Hint, he's a former Chiefs draft pick. Another hint, the Chiefs traded him this year. Sky Moore is having a good year, guys, on special teams. Sky Moore. He is 10th in kick return yards. And he is 8th in punt return yards. Now, listen, he's not Dante Hall or Devin Hester. He's not lighting it up like those guys. But he's having a damn good season. He just had a 66-yard punt return. He had a 98-yard kick return earlier in the year. Sky Moore had a 98-yard kick return and didn't score a touchdown. But listen, he's averaging 28 yards per return. Tyquan Thornton's averaging 26 yards a return. Nico Remigio is averaging just under 26 yards a return. And it's not like Sky Moore has far more attempts. Nico Remigio is not too far behind him on kick return attempts. Nico Remigio has one more punt return than Sky Moore, but Sky Moore has more punt return yards. I mean, this is a fallacy here. All of us were bitching and moaning about Sky Moore, saying this guy is not even worth making an NFL roster on any team. Well, San Francisco is having a good time with him because he's done a good job setting that offense up with great field position. Now, I'm not blaming Nico Remigio and Tyquan Thornton, as well as Brashard Smith, the three guys who've been your returners this year. I think, them not fair catching at times is very interesting decision-wise, but Can we talk about the lack of blocking there, the amount of holds? And it's not just this year. This has been going on for a while. Do you guys know when was the last time the Chiefs had a kick return or a punt return touchdown? I truly don't know. The last one I can recall was week 17, back when week 17 was the final week. That was also when the number 2 seed got a bye week. And I recall that specifically because the Chiefs needed help from the Dolphins to beat the Patriots so the Chiefs could get the 2 seed. I remember Mecole Hardman had a kick return touchdown that game. Is there one I'm missing after that? I can't think of that. Kadarius Toney had a big punt return in the Super Bowl, but it didn't go for a touchdown. Nico Remigio had a big punt return and a big kick return in the playoffs last year. Neither of those went for. I can't remember the last special teams touchdown for the Chiefs. I want to say there was one after 2019. I just can't recall it right now. Let me look it up real quickly. Might as well since we're here. Will take me a moment. I'm not going to even bother 2025. 2024. Return game. Nobody scored a touchdown. 2023. Did anyone score a touchdown on special teams? No. Who was the leading returner, by the way, in 2023? It was Richie James. Richie James. I remember him. 2022. Okay, this is where I can't say I remember much on special teams. Nope, no touchdowns then. 2021, we're almost there to 2019. No return. Byron Pringle was your leading kick returner. Jeez. I liked him. I thought he had good speed, but Mecole Hardman was your leading punt returner. And then 2020. 2020, was there a return touchdown that year? There was. It was Byron Pringle. Okay, so Byron Pringle had a kick return touchdown in 2020 that, for the life of me, I cannot recall. And to my defense, that was the COVID year. Oh, there was also a punt return touchdown that year from Mecole Hardman. I don't recall that one either. Yeah, COVID did a lot of things to us. Made us forget a lot of things. Okay, but it's been a while. That's my point. You just haven't had... Like, I remember Quentin Demps. Remember Quentin Demps? He was a former safety for the Chiefs. He had a kick return touchdown. Niall Davis took the opening kickoff in the playoff game against the Texans and got a kick return touch, 109 yards. Dexter McCluster had a couple of good punt return touchdowns. Tyreek Hill. And by the way, Dexter McCluster did it in 2013. That was his last year with the Chiefs. Tyreek Hill. You know, if he was not your number one receiver, he could have been a fantastic returner for Kansas City. But yeah, I mean, Kansas City special teams just hasn't been the same since then. Must be those COVID symptoms. Yeah, that's what it was. I do believe he had a punt return and a kick return in the same game. Who are you referring to, Greg? David says, when are you clowns going to realize they're not going to win? Look, David, did you not see my post earlier? Have you not heard anything I said? I told you they're not winning 5 in a row. I don't think they're even beating the Texans this Sunday. And I'm not confident that they'll win on Christmas against the Broncos either. I think they will for sure beat the Titans and the Raiders. The Chargers, I think they can win that one as well. So if I'm betting right now, I think they go 3-2 the rest of the year. Mecole Hardman had a punt return and a kick return touchdown in the same game. Okay. I can't say I recall that, but anyway, the point here is special teams has been bad. Dave Toub at one point, remember the first couple of years in the Andy Reid era, Dave Toub was the special teams coordinator. He's been the special teams coordinator the entire time Andy Reid's been here. And Dave Toub's name was legitimately a candidate for being a head coach. And I kind of wondered to myself over the years, I'm like, what happened to that? Why isn't Dave Toub a head coach by now? Because he's been on this team for 11 years, or more than that, 12. There's a reason why. Last few years, special teams has been awful. I mean, the punting has always been consistently good for Kansas City, whether it's Dustin Colquitt, Tommy Townsend, or Matt Araiza. And I think Matt Araiza is doing better this year than last year. Long snapping has always been good. Butker, okay, he got off to a rough start, but he found a way to overcome that. But my God, the return game is bad, like really bad. That's got to get fixed. That's absolutely got to get fixed. So, as a lot of you guys know, Nick Wright was silent over the weekend. He says it's because, he had a granddaughter, which, by the way, congratulations to him and his family. But he was at the Lakers game having fun. His wife showed that, so that's how I know. But did you hear Nick Wright today? He said, of course it's time to worry. I mean, Nick Wright, who will look for every angle for a positive spin, he put two hands up and says, I surrender my optimism. You know who else is not necessarily calling out the Chiefs, but he's letting it be known, man. And listen, a lot of former players, like Teddy Bruschi, for example, he will always try to give a positive spin on anything Patriots related. Understandably so. That's a team that gave him an opportunity. But Alex Smith, who, had his best years in Kansas City and has a great relationship with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, he said yesterday on ESPN Sunday Countdown, it's major panic time. And he even called out the defense about how they used to be elite and they cannot get off the field on third down. I mean, you've got Alex Smith, who's got a great relationship with Mahomes and Reid. You've got Nick Wright, who will never say anything negative about the Chiefs. You've got guys like those two who are struggling to even give you a positive spin here. Yeah, when Nick says it's time to worry, yeah. When Nick Wright's saying that, it's like, dude, even Nick Wright, he's surrendering. Again, I'll say it. The Chiefs have no one to blame but themselves. Let me just say this to wrap up here, because there are two ways to look at this right now. And I've addressed this before, and I think it's worth going over again right now, because I saw a Buffalo Bills fan kind of call out Chiefs fans, and he's like, wait a minute, you guys are complaining about all this after the amount of success? Because the same Bills fan in his tweet was like, dude, I would love 1 year of a Super Bowl win. There are a lot of fans that are saying, listen, we've had 7 great years that a lot of people have lived through with all the postseason heartbreaks. It's like, okay, got a reset year going on. And listen, I think a reset year was expected, but, and this is the other side of this, not to this extent. Okay, listen, if the Chiefs were not going to win the division, fine. But to be 6-6 and find yourself in a spot where you absolutely have to win out, that's the hard part to accept here. You're paying all this money to Travis Kelce. I know Mahomes has restructured, but he's got the biggest contract in the league. You're paying Trey Smith, Creed Humphrey, all that money. Jawan Taylor, too. You went and drafted Kingsley Suamataia in the second round. You drafted Josh Simmons in the first round. You have invested so much in the wide receiver trio, maybe not financially, but you kept them together one more year in hopes that they would all stay healthy at the same time. By the way, one of them is a first-round pick. The other one's a second-round pick. And then when it comes to your defense, you're paying a lot of money to Chris Jones. You just gave a big contract to Karlaftis. You gave a big contract to Nick Bolton. Trent McDuffie is one of your best players who you probably cannot afford. You just gave Harrison Butker a big contract not too long ago. I mean, you're paying these guys a lot of money, and the guys who you're not paying a lot of money to are due for a big payday, whether here or elsewhere, like Rashee Rice and Trent McDuffie. I mean, the team should be much better than this. For them to be 6-6 is unacceptable. So again, there are two sides of this, and you're seeing fans with different viewpoints on this. Some are saying, "Hey, look, it's okay. We've had 7 great years. You're going to have a down year, and you're going to have to reset, kind of like how New England did for a little bit in between the third and the fourth Super Bowls." But I fall into the other side where it's like you're 6-6 with all of this talent, not just with players, but also with the coaches. Listen, I know Nagy's not loved by a lot of people, me included. But Nagy was once a coach of the year, was he not? He was once a successful offensive coordinator in Kansas City that led him to being a head coach. Spags had, in my opinion, his best defensive coordinator of all time. And Andy Reid, his resume speaks for himself. I know he didn't have that Super Bowl win for the longest time, but he's always had a lot of wins. He's always had a lot of success. There was a reason why it was a big deal. He was coming to Kansas City in 2013. And so with all of this, you're 6-6. Yeah, fans have a reason to be frustrated with the stance that the Chiefs are at right now. Yeah, I mean, Greg says I'm 50 and I've seen some bad years. Listen, not to you've obviously seen a lot of bad years. The 70s, the 80s, those were rough years. There were very, very few things to look forward to with the Chiefs back then. I mean, some of the few bright spots at the time, Deron Cherry, Joe Delaney for a couple of years. I mean, there aren't a lot of things you can really point at from those 2 decades. The 90s, I mean, that was a fantastic Chiefs team, but couldn't get it done in the playoffs. The Lynn Elliott game, the no punt game, the blown leads in the playoffs. I mean, there's been a lot of that. So, yeah, there is that other side of it as well. Yeah, Okoye, that's a good one, David. Yeah, that's one that should have been worth mentioning there as well in the 80s, late 80s. But man, it's like I cannot have that stance when I see this team with all this talent at 6-6. They've got to be much better than this. This has been a disappointing season, and if they miss the playoffs, it is a failure of a season. And the only way we can look back and chuckle at the 2025 season is if the Chiefs, which some people have been saying, hey, the Chiefs, they've been picking late every year in the draft. But they've still been able to find great guys. They found Trey Smith. They found Creed Humphrey outside the first round. They found Chris Jones outside the first round. Tyreek Hill outside the first round. Trent McDuffie and George Karlaftis were late in the first rounds. Pacheco was a 7th-round pick. Watson was a 7th-round pick. And they've all done great things for you in Kansas City. Not all of them have been Pro Bowlers or all pros, but they've done a lot of great things in KC, despite being late-round picks or non-first-round picks. The only way you can look back and just laugh at this season if you miss the playoffs, whoever you do pick in the first round, whether it's going to be 16, 15, 14, 13, somewhere in that first round, better be a home run pick for you. I see a lot of people saying Jeremiah Love. I don't know if that's guy. I don't think he's going outside the top 10. And listen, I guess if you're picking 14th, that might make it easier for you to trade up into the top 10. But what are you giving up to get there? That I don't know. I'm a KC fan. Do you feel we missed the playoffs? Yes. I'm not betting on the Chiefs making the playoffs because I don't think they're winning 5 in a row. I don't think they're beating Houston or Denver. I just can't bet on that. Been watching since 2002. So I've seen one and dones as well as awful years with Herm, Haley, and Cornell. Yeah. Oh boy, Cornell, man. I wish Cornell stayed as a defensive coordinator, but usually you don't ever see coaches take a demotion. David says, I think it was more Haley and Pioli than Castle. He made the playoffs for first year here. I think you're replying to someone, so I'm not exactly sure what you mean there. Oh, responding to Jason's comment. Jason says, seen some bad years. Matt Castle was the worst. I mean, listen, you had that one good year with Matt Castle. Listen, I'm not as old as you, Jason, but I've seen some bad years. I've seen worse quarterbacks. I mean, Brody Croyle, and listen, no disrespect to Brody. He's been on this podcast before. We had a fantastic conversation about his time in Kansas City and also what he's doing today. I wish that was one of my very first interviews I did with all my new equipment. So I wish the quality of that show was better, but and listen, Brody was upfront and honest about his struggles and injuries and never winning a game as a starter. He was 0-10 as a starter. But yeah, the Matt Castle era, that was some bad years. What was Matt Castle's overall passing average as a Chief? Suppose we could look that up quickly. It's funny. When you look it up, it says he plays for the Detroit Lions. Let's see. 2009, he averaged 5.9 yards per pass. A year later was 6.9 yards. And that was a really good year for Castle. 3,100 yards in 2010 was considered really good. 27 touchdowns, 7 picks. Yeah, that was a really good year for Matt Castle. Only 26 sacks also. That was way less from the year before when it was 42. But yeah, in 2011, 6.4, and then 2012, 6.5. He played less games. One was due to injury one season, and the other one was just poor performance. And they tried Brady Quinn that year. So there you have it. You've been a fan since the great Hank Stram. Good for you. I'm a KC fan. Yeah, Tyler Palco, man. Dude, Heward, who's also been on this podcast, and we had a great conversation with him. Heward saved the 06 season, did he not? People were actually hoping he would play in the playoffs over Trent Green. I remember him only throwing 1 pick in those 9 games. Unfortunately, he led the league in picks in the first 7 weeks the following year. So that was a big shift there. Yeah, the Cornell thing was just rough. Off the field, yeah, on the field. My frustration was on the field. Your best player that year was Jamal Charles. And in the Raiders game where I think it was 16-6, felt like 600-6. I think Charles only got the ball like 5 or 6 times. And that was when Brian Daboll, who just got fired by the Giants, he was the offensive coordinator that year and had full control of the offense because Romeo was also the defensive coordinator and the head coach of the Chiefs. I don't know if you guys recall that. He handed off defensive coordinator duties to Gary Gibbs later on, the linebackers coach. But I remember someone in the media asked, why did Jamal Charles only get 5 or 6 carries? Romeo Crennel had no idea. Dude, you're the head coach. By the way, something I want to ask you guys, and I don't know, this is not a right or wrong answer here. Something, when they show, like whenever the Chiefs offense is on the field, they'll show the Chiefs offensive coordinator, Matt Nagy and Andy Reid, and then they'll show the opposing team's defensive coordinator. And then when the opposing team is on offense, they'll show Spags because the Chiefs defense is on the field. Something I've noticed, and I noticed this with the assistant coaches. I know some of you may not recognize by face some of the assistant coaches, but because I do a podcast and do all this stuff, I can almost recognize every assistant coach by their face. Maybe not the quality control coaches, but anyway, I digress. The point I'm trying to get to here, whenever they show any assistant coach for the Chiefs, they show the coordinators, but you can see the assistant coaches in the background. You know what I've noticed? And this is just a thought that came to my mind recently. Every single assistant coach is on the field. The Chiefs do not have an assistant coach in a box, do they? I don't think I've ever seen that. I mean, listen, it's no secret that, and listen, I've sat front row for games before at Arrowhead and other venues. That's nice and all, but you're paying more than you really should because you honestly get a much better view of the game in the nosebleeds than you do sitting front row at a game. But no Chiefs coach. Are there any Chiefs coaches that are in the box? I've seen them in the past in the box. I remember Brad Childress. Remember Brad Childress had a weird job with the Chiefs. It was called Special Projects, and it was also the co-offensive. Yes, the Chiefs once had co-offensive coordinators one year. But are any Chiefs assistant coaches in the booth? I don't know if that would make any difference for the team. Because listen, when you're on ground level, it is not easy to get a good view of the game. You just can't. But when you're up there, and for any of you that's ever sat in the nosebleeds or even on the second level, the yellow seats, which are much more pricier, you get a much better view of the game. Yeah, I sat front row for the preseason, and it is extremely distracting, actually. Yeah, I don't think there are any assistant. The coordinators are all on the field. Dave Toub, Matt Nagy, and Spags are all on the field. Now, some of the assistant coaches, like Connor Embry, the wide receivers coach, I've noticed he's on the field. Joe Cullen, the defensive line coach, I've noticed he's on the field. I believe Merritt's been on the field. I don't think there are any assistant coaches not on the field. They're all on the field. So that to me, and again, I know every team operates differently. Some teams have a quarterback's coach upstairs. Some have their quarterback's coach on the field. But I'm kind of wondering, like, could a different angle for the assistant coaches, could that change anything? I'm really curious about that. Yeah, some of you guys have noticed that as well. Only Swift and the Wi-Fi are in the box. Yeah, but they're in a completely separate box. I don't know specifically what box the assistant coaches would go to. I think it's actually in the Skybox, the one from the renovations about 15 years ago. Yeah, they'll never show like a wide receivers coach or a defensive line coach unless they have a very big story for that game. They only show coordinators. But I just noticed all the other position coaches are on the field also. That's what I've noticed also in recent games. So, yeah, I don't know. I just wonder, could that make a difference for the Chiefs? So, we'll see how that goes. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I appreciate you guys joining me on this late Monday night. Apologies for the schedule change, but appreciate you guys joining me on this one. If you guys enjoyed this podcast, please share it with your friends. Let them know about the Chiefs Zone podcast. For those of you who tuned in late, this podcast will be archived shortly on Facebook, YouTube, X, and also on audio websites like Apple and Spotify and others. I appreciate you guys joining me once again. Thank you all for being a part of this podcast on a Monday night. We'll be back Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Central Time. We will break down the game between the Chiefs and the Texans. Hopefully the Chiefs can, I guess, pull off an upset even though they're favored. Yeah, that's where we are with the Chiefs right now. So we'll talk about that, and we'll also have the Red Friday Q&A live chat this Friday at 5 p.m. Central Time. Once again, I'm Farzin Vousoughian. Peace out. Have a great rest of your Monday. Stay warm. Be safe out there on the roads.